Imagine being haunted by a demonic entity that no one else seems to be able to see but you, and no one seems to respond to you when you try to call out for help. You try and make the words, but nothing ends up coming out. You're frozen in place, as the world carries on around you as normal, while you are being terrorized by something unexplainable. Almost like being in a nightmare and losing your ability to run, talk, really just unable to do anything but sit and stare at whatever is terrorizing your life. Quite the haunting thought to start off the day, don't you think? Now normally, when it comes to analog horror stories, we are used to seeing larger-than-life events taking place. Whether it be a virus affecting a whole town, worldwide events taking over and affecting humanity as a whole, or horrifying entities that rack up their victim count. But the best types of horror stories, in my opinion, are the ones that take a more personal route in its telling, where we focus on a much smaller situation, sometimes only affecting a single person or a very small group. It makes it all the more horrifying to think that such a situation is only happening to you and you alone, where no one else can help you. You are left to face the horrors by yourself. Now that just sounds like my life. However, the analog horror series I've stumbled upon seems to do just that. The Silencer. This series is relatively new and seems to be slowly gaining more and more traction, and I just knew this was something that I would have to check out. And I gotta say, just based on the channel's profile picture and thumbnails for the 2 entries that are out currently, I think it's safe to say I won't be getting rid of these images from my memory anytime soon. As always, be sure to check out the original series, as like I said before, this deserves all the attention it can get. Have you watched them yet? Good. Now let's equip ourselves with our high stat protective gear. It's perfect for keeping the horrors from attacking our psyche. I hope. And let's head out and see what's in store for us in the disturbing story of The Silencer. But before I let you get too far, just wanted to give a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, us. If you didn't know, we have a gaming channel called 4Player, where me and some of the gang terrorize ourselves with horror games. Whether it be a solo journey through a haunting indie game,
Oh my god, this is so long. Why is it so long?
or a co-op adventure that requires all of us to combine our powers.
There's no way out of here, Jonathan!
That doesn't open?
It should be a terrifying and fun time. The channel schedule has been super wonky, but more and more should start popping up on that channel in no time. So if you want some more 4+ in the realm of horror games, check out 4Player. We'll be waiting. But anyways, now you can pass through. Can you hear me? My name is Sophia. Something awful happened. I felt fingers twisting in my chest. Then I was trapped. During the text, we can see someone approach the back door of where they live, looking outside and seeing the leaves falling and the buildings opposing the one that we reside in. But then, the view to the outside world goes black. We look down and place our hand over our chest, and then it was here. We look back up and still see the ominous void where the outside world used to be. We turn and face an open hallway where nothing can be seen past the frame, then behind us to see the rest of the room. And when we turn back around, we see exactly what it is. I tried to tell Vicente. We return to our scene and can see that the figure is no longer there, and we yell out to Vicente, trying to tell him that something is there, or at the very least, was there. Right off the bat, the style is reminding me of that one tape in the Obelisk series we covered not too long ago, where things move around in a stop-motion-like fashion, and I gotta say, it is already unnerving the hell out of me. Not to mention that each piece of dialogue that comes up is met with the sound of a piano note being played. All Vicente does is stare at us from the shadowy doorway, almost barely visible. We try to call out to him again, and then ask if he can even hear us, to which all he does is turn and walk away. But he couldn't hear me. We make our way to the bedroom, and try to call out to him numerous times, telling him that it's in here. It appears like he is packing things away into a suitcase. Hopefully he isn't planning on leaving us alone, as we can then see the shadow of the entity appear from behind us. No one can hear me. We are now laying in our bed, facing the haunting darkness through our open bedroom doors. Listen to me, please. We try to wake up Vicente. It's here again, but nothing seems to be working. We look back at the open door and ask, will it trap me like this forever? Again, all we can see is the nothingness past the door, leaving us only to our imagination as to what could possibly be on the other side. Maybe this time, he'll hear this. Presumably the next day, we see as Vicente is doing the dishes. We turn and look at one of the plates that has been set aside. We pick it up and smash it on the floor, shattering the plate. But when we look up, the plate is back where it was, and we see there is no longer a broken plate on the floor, as if we didn't do anything at all. It never works. Our next attempt is carving into the wall. It wants me, and asks if he can see this. We turn and see him sitting on the couch just eating off his plate, trying to tell him to look at the sign. And then we get our second horrific appearance from the silencer. It doesn't like when I shout. The following day, we repeatedly ask for help, as all Vicente does is do the dishes. We end up hearing something off in the other room, and begin to make our way to where the noise was. We find ourselves roaming through the living room, before we turn to face one of the other open doors and begin to head towards it, until our scene then abruptly cuts to the next, with Vicente finally speaking to us, asking if we are okay. And we get our first look at Sofia herself. It changes what I try to say, to which all we respond to Vicente's question is that someone named Julio is on their way, and that yes, we are okay. Vicente tells us that he can take the couch, to which we try to say that's not what we said, before we are then visited once again. It'll only get worse. What does it want? And when I tell you, the ending to this tape almost put me into cardiac arrest. This is a very good introduction to what I can only imagine is going to keep getting more frightening. The animation and style that this story is being presented in is so unique and really adds to the horrifying setting and tone that this story has going for it right now. And I would be lying if I said that I wasn't at all nervous to continue on towards the next entry. I need a drink. The first thing we are met with is the same bit of text we saw in the beginning of the last entry. My name is Sofia. No one can hear me. It then looks as if we crawl towards Vicente, who sits at the couch as we pull ourselves up the arm of the seat, asking, "Can you hear me?" It's here again. We turn and look towards the other room, to which we then find ourselves somewhere else in the house, yelling at Vicente to listen to us. He stands up and walks away. We then cut back facing the same hallway, until we hear a knock at the door. We end up underneath the table that sits next to the front door, until someone walks in holding a case of presumably alcohol. Thank God, I'm gonna need something to keep me from going insane in this world. The person who enters the home asks if we are hungry, to which we then get another idea. Maybe they'll hear this. We take the case of bottles and slam them all over the floor. However, just like last time, nothing changes. The case just gets set down on the table, and the mess we have created is now gone. It never works. My brother isn't doing well. The next thing we see is someone hanging out on the balcony having themselves a smoke. I wish I could talk to him. We see as Sofia's brother, probably Julio who was mentioned earlier, has crashed out on the couch, and on the coffee table we can see a spilt over bottle, and essentially all the things someone would use to try and take their mind off the painful reality we all live in. We show signs of concern. He'll smoke the wrong thing one day. We take his hand as he lays asleep, but whispers direct our attention behind us, and the silencer is back yet again, just barely able to be seen behind the corner of the wall. We read that her brother hasn't been the same since their father has died, and we are met with quite the haunting scene. We hear the horrifying audio of what sounds to be a liquid pouring out, and down on the floor we see a lifeless hand reaching out over a puddle of blood. We have been taken to the past, and through the eyes of Sofia we walk over towards our brother Julio, calling out his name and asking what had happened. We see Julio staring off into the room, likely where the body of their father lays dead, and can see that the blood has somehow made its way all over Julio himself. Sofia tries to get him to say something, but he remains quiet. All that can be heard is his breathing getting faster and faster. We return to the present and can see that Julio is no longer on the couch. We call out to him, asking where he had gone. We scan the room and he is nowhere to be seen. We ask out if he is there. However, we are still stuck with a voice that cannot be heard, until we inevitably find him. And what we see next is definitely disturbing, so graphic warning for those who may not be able to handle such real horrors at this moment. She tries calling out to Vicente. We begin to run into the bedroom to find him sitting in bed reading a book. All we do is yell out for help, yelling that he is dying. Vicente looks up, and as to be expected, all he says is, "Yeah, we can watch a show." Clearly, what we're trying to say is not what was actually said at all. We tell him, "No, listen to me. He's dying." Sofia turns around and yells out to Julio that she will be right there. Once we are back facing Vicente, his response is again of no relation to the situation at hand, still talking about a TV show. A creaking can then be heard behind Sofia, and we turn around to see yet again the silencer's shadow. Sophia sprints into the bedroom, and in a tragic scene, we watch as she yells at her brother to stay with her. Yet even in the unconscious state Julio seems to be in, he still flicks the lighter underneath the foil in his hand, and in almost a cruel gesture, the silencer approaches to watch, followed by something I definitely wasn't expecting. We wake up on the floor in the bathroom, and it's a rare instance where we are brought to the daytime. Julio is seen sitting up against the tub, and he says he's sorry, but he had to do what he did. He asks if Sophia can hear him, and the message repeats that he has been trying to tell us something. We cut to black, and are taken to a different perspective of the story. My name is Julio. No one has heard me since I was 7. We are brought back to the same haunting scene of their dad dying on the floor. Julio tries to call out for Sophia, and we can see as a younger Sophia approaches us. And given what we see next, it's clear that Julio has been being haunted by the very same entity tormenting Sophia right now. We hard cut from Julio looking incredibly distressed to him with a blank stare, looking off into the distance, and just like we had seen previously, Sophia asking for him to say something. We end up flashing through different points of Julio's life, moving forward rapidly through time, and in each instance, the silencer slowly approaches him. First, right after his dad has died, as he curls up against the wall with blood covering his legs. Next, as he plays on the swing set. It's been haunting him since his childhood. In the last instance where the silencer approaches, we see an adult Julio sitting on the sidewalk, and he turns over to see more bottles of alcohol by his side. When I drink, it goes away. We are back in Julio's POV, with a bottle in his hands, as he looks up at the tree next to him, and the camera continues to move higher and higher, through the leaves and up towards the sky. We read text that says, "My sister isn't doing well." Still in Julio's perspective, we see the scene where he enters the house with the case of bottles in hand, telling Sophia not to move, as the silencer can be seen right behind her as she sits at the table. And just like what was happening between Sophia and Vicente, all Sophia says in response is, "Yeah, order something, Julio." We cut to the scene where Julio stands at the balcony smoking, staring up at the city in front of him. It almost has her. He turns and looks at his sister. She needs to hear me. He gets closer. The two are now face to face. "I'll make her," to which we see him grab her hand. When we're high, we can hear each other. The scene cuts to the present moment, back to the two siblings in the bathroom together. Julio tells Sophia to listen carefully. The silencer will be back soon, and that they need to go. The two run towards Julio's car, and the two speed off. Sophia asks what is happening, and Julio responds with, "Have some more, or it will take you," to which he then hands us more of whatever it was he was smoking. Likely pot, even though the bathroom scene definitely made it seem like it was something more serious. And the last thing we see in this entry is Sophia asking, "Take me where?" ending off the series so far. This has got to be one of the most intriguing and tragic pieces of horror that I have seen on YouTube in quite a while. It isn't clear if this horrific entity haunting these siblings is even real, or if it is just an embodiment of the trauma that these two have suffered throughout their lives. It's clear that the event with their dad is what started it all for Julio, but it isn't exactly clear yet when it began to haunt Sophia. Given the nature of the brutality of the dad's death, it's leading me to believe that he may have ended his own life, in unfortunately a very violent fashion. I would hate to think that he would have done this in front of his own son, or if Julio made attempts to save his dad's life, explaining how the blood managed to coat his entire body. It has been a pretty common thing to see in horror nowadays, where the trauma of the characters is what is giving life to the horror happening around them, and it is able to truly encapsulate the nature of what it is like to live with that hardship that carries its way and stays with you for your entire life if it is unable to be dealt with. It's interesting that in this case, the drugs and alcohol are shown as a way to get rid of the monster, a positive of some sorts. I doubt it will stay that way for very long, as in these cases, that will only get you so far. But you can't blame our characters at all for using what they have available to them at the time. This really reminded me of one of my favorite horror movies, The Babadook, where keeping the grief and trauma experienced in life buried deep down manifests itself into something all the more horrifying to deal with later. Needless to say, this series did a really good job at creating that sense of dread and that feeling of being unable to truly speak about the things we hold in the vaults in our brain. It's horrifying to see Sophia try to tell Vicente, who I can only imagine is her partner, what is going on, warning him of the nightmare that haunts their home, when it's clear that whatever she tries to say only comes out as surface-level conversation. like if they'd like to watch a TV show. Our characters are borderline living completely separate lives whilst living under the same roof. I believe it's safe to say that the Silencer is a manifestation of the siblings' trauma, though the fact that the same creature is haunting both of our characters leads me to believe that it's possible that the entity is real, using their emotional trauma as a way to latch onto them, feeding off it if you will. And God, what a terrifying design the creature has. It perfectly hides itself in the shadows of every room it lurks in. Overall, this was an excellent piece of horror media, and I for one cannot wait to see where the story continues on from here. Hopefully Julio and Sofia are able to battle their way against the Silencer, and can begin to live fulfilling lives once again, without the horrors of their past continually haunting them into the present. But that'll probably be about it for this video. It is on the shorter side, but I really wanted to share the series with you guys as it absolutely deserves all the praise and attention it can get, so please be sure to check it out for yourselves if you haven't already. But as always, be sure to keep on leaving me recommendations down below, whether it be in the YouTube comments or the community Discord, where the Silencer is thankfully not a member. I think. But if you'll excuse me, I need to lay in bed and contemplate whether or not I will be getting any sleep tonight.